play with confidence. Serves it inside 50.
Inside 50, good hands.
Drilling it into centre half forward. That was end-to-end football at its best.
Back-to-back goals either side of quarter time.
They have done it, the Bulldogs!
I'd find somebody for you. There ain't no wall I will run through. In your corner when I'm ringing the bell. Come hell or high water. I'd find somebody for you.
G'day Waffle fans, welcome one and all to another edition of Around the Waffle for your Thursday night, and hope you're staying safe from the rain here in Perth. At the time of the recording down here in Osborne Park, it is chucking it down at the moment, so hope you're keeping yourself safe and warm from the cold and wet conditions outside here in the west. Well, we sit in this great studio here at the Hen House, bringing you all the best in WAFL and WAFLW action as we look ahead to Super Saturday. Because all games this week in the WAFL and WAFLW are on Saturday afternoon. It's a really big day of WAFL football. My name's Paul Persic. Great to have your company on YouTube and where you get your podcast. And alongside me, by popular demand, he's returning, Jordan McArdle from WA Football's Media and Communications team, and of course, WAFL commentator. Jordan, welcome back, my good man.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you having me back on once again.
And it's a well-deserved spot, no doubt about that, because you have had a killer year so far, and we've got a big show lined up, Jordan, because standing by in just a few minutes, Andrew Pruyn from the Swan Districts Football Club is going to be joining us. The Swans have had a roller coaster year so far, and they've got a big game coming up on Saturday against the West Coast Eagles. And also, Jordan, Jaide Britton, who these days is the Perth Demons midfield coach in the WAFL W and has premiership experience at Peel Thunder.
Yeah, looking forward to chatting with both. Obviously, Jaide is a bit of a juggling act for her, isn't it? Coaching at Perth and obviously playing at West Coast as well. So looking forward to chatting with both.
It's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt. And of course, we'll preview all the WAFL and WAFL W action. A condensed round in the WAFL with only 3 games coming up at the usual quota in the WAFL W. And we'll also get Jordan's thoughts on the upcoming Under-18s Championship that begin at Lathlane this weekend against South Australia, both in the Boys Championship and in the Girls Championship. But let's get to some news first off, Jordan. Some big news during the week. Of course, the Australian Football Hall of Fame took place this week and 2 WA legends were inducted, including a champion Swan elevated to legend status, Billy Walker.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Just looking through Bill Walker's resume, it is unbelievable. No other player has won 4 Sandover medals. He's won, 5 Club Best and Fairest awards. He's won goal kicking awards. He's won premierships. He won a premiership in his first year. Kicked 5 goals in a grand final that year. It was Swan Districts' first ever flag. So, really, really well deserved honour, and one of the greats of not only Swan Districts Footy Club, but the WAFL and Australian football. So great to see him recognised, and obviously Woosha is his record speaks for itself as well, both as a player and a coach. So great to see a couple of West Aussies recognised on Tuesday night. Both with great places in the hearts of WA football. I had the pleasure of speaking with Billy Walker at the WA Sport of Champions Gala dinner last summer, and he tells some great stories about being a loyal Swan Districts player and his family not missing a game at Bassendean since he made his debut, and a very humble man and a well-deserved honour. So well done to Billy Walker, and of course to John Worsfold, who Jordan was alluding to, of course, a dual premiership captain at the West Coast Eagles, coach, and of course starting out his career at South Fremantle as well, along with the great David Hart, Peter Sumich and Glenn Jakovich. Now that is a great quartet. Yeah, what a team that was back in the day. That was a pretty tough team to beat. No doubt about that. That is all the big news outside of the field. On the field, WA, Jordan, had their final tune-up of the Under-18s Championship last week against the Claremont Reserves. Who stood out amongst the pack to you? Oh, Lucas Robinson was outstanding. He only played a half a footy. He was, just managed through that one, and he had 16 disposals at half-time and then was put on ice. So, he's a real young star, and he's already been getting it done at senior level for South Fremantle. So, he's primed for a really big carnival. If he can do what he's doing against grown men, I'd hate to see what he's going to do against guys, that probably don't have that sort of strong body like he does. He's primed for a big one. Harper Banfield went really well as well. He was on managed minutes as well, but still, found a lot of the footy. So I think those two are going to cause some damage in the midfield. Benji Van Rooyen was good as well. He looks like one that's going to be going to be going well ahead of the carnival. That's for sure. Harvey Sport and Guy was he had some nice moments up forward as well. So and Elijah Dennis as well, Claremont defender. he was good in the back half. So a lot to like, and it's good to see the expanded talent program this year as well. They've played six games all up, compared to usually around 2 or 3. So I think this will hold the boys in really good stead. And I think they're going to cause a few shocks, I reckon. Hopefully starting with South Australia on Saturday.
Talent program just keeps getting better, and the expansion is worth its weight in gold with all the players that we've seen from the Colts and the league having a crack in the competition. We'll get your thoughts on a couple more players in both boys and girls championship teams a little later on before we wrap up today's show. Let's get down to business. Swan Districts, they've had a roller coaster year, haven't they? Of course, they've been able to stay competitive with a number of top teams, but their 3 wins this year so far have all been at home at Steel Blue Oval. Can they make it a 4th against the very competitive West Coast Eagles on Saturday? Joining us to talk about that game is Swan Districts coach Andrew Pruyn. He joins us while driving down the highway back to Perth. Hello, Andrew. How are you, mate?
Yeah, well, Paul, yourself?
Yeah, going very well. Great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Would it be a fair assessment to say that your team and yourself have been through the ups and downs this season while you've been able to remain competitive with the likes of South Fremantle, East Perth, Subiaco, who are also expected to be in the 5?
Yeah, certainly hasn't been the start of the season that we were hoping for. I think that we've really battled to try and get to our best footy, I suppose. And I think we definitely took some steps forward for a half against Perth, and the game against East Fremantle was pretty good. But in some of the other ones, we're certainly lacking to find our best footy. So it's something that we're very keen to address this weekend as we come up against a pretty impressive looking West Coast outfit.
Pruyn, it's Jordan here. Thanks so much for your time. Just a couple of younger players that I was keen to get your thoughts on. One's Blake Kelly. His first 2 games of league footy, how impressed have you been with him? I remember chatting with you during the pre-season, and you said he was one of those players to watch that that should break in and play some early league footy. Unfortunately, he had I think it was a foot injury that sort of curtailed his latter part of the pre-season. How impressed are you with the way he's fought back from that injury and just really slotted into that senior side nicely?
Yeah, Jordy. I thought he had a terrific pre-season in terms of he was looking early pre-Christmas. He was looking really good, and had a little setback with that issue with his foot, and then took a little bit of time obviously to get going, and then was able to get into some really, really good form in the reserves. And then that's just set him up to be able to have the start that he's had, to be so consistent in his first couple of games at league level. He's going to be an absolute ripper of a player, and certainly one to continue to watch. And I think his development at the back end of the season as we progress, if he keeps on this trajectory, I think he's going to really set himself up to have a fantastic, first up year to senior footy.
And Leo Steed, unfortunately for yourself, you won't have him for probably the next month. But how impressed have you been with the way he's adjusted to senior footy as a 17-year-old kid? There's not a great deal of him. He's pretty slightly built and quite short. So there's those doubters sort of come to mind early. But he has really proved a lot of those doubters wrong, hasn't he? The way he's slotted in, he's played sort of half forward, midfield, and slotted in nicely. That second half against Perth a couple of weeks back, that was something pretty special.
Yeah, I mean he's an absolute ripper. So Leo, it's always hard when you coach seniors. It's difficult to get a gauge on the younger kids when they're first coming through. So you don't really have the data sort of to compare across. Like if they're in culture groups that you're comparing against their age group. So when they come up into the senior program, it's always hard to sort of get a feel exactly where they sit in the mix. And with Leo, the one thing that really stood out was how well he listened, how quickly he learned, and how coachable essentially he is. So he's had some really important roles for us, and roles that I haven't seen kids at his age be able to do and sort of adhere to at such a level that he was able to do. I think you're right, in the Perth game, he was a big reason that were able to spin that game around, and for a kid of his age and experience to be able to go in against the likes of, Parfitt and Comfortable and Byrne and the like to have the impact he did, it's just, it's scary to be honest. Like, where that kid could end up, who knows? So, credit to him and the program that sort of set him up, and I think WA should be very excited to have, someone like that as their co-captain in the 18s this weekend. So, credit to him.
It's a credit to the whole program as well, that has got Leo Steed this amazing opportunity, and he's really made the most of it. He's a great young kid with plenty of potential ahead of him. Finally, mate, before we let you go, second encounter against the West Coast Eagles this year, of course, on the Sunday of the Anzac round. They just pipped you by a point, but you guys came back into the contest with great intensity in the second half when it looked as though all had been lost, especially through the improvement of the likes of Turner, McLaughlin, who came into the game in that second half. What are you expecting against this Eagles side, similar to what you guys had on that Anzac Day weekend encounter?
Yeah, I mean, they jumped out of the block that game. I think they had 5 goals to our nothing by the 10-minute mark in the first quarter. So certainly made the day a little bit harder for us. Obviously the second half we managed to claw some back, but that 10-minute period in the first quarter where they just blew us apart, certainly something that we've addressed, and hopefully we won't be in the same situation again. Look, we're really excited to come up against West Coast, get them on our home patch. And the thing when you play against the aligned clubs or West Coast standalone, but they've got so much flexibility. They bring in a Marcus Herbert mid-season, and he's got the ability to go to the inside, or play across half back, and you don't have a lot of information on him, only the couple of games that he's played. So, same with Branko. So they've got some really good talent, some top-level players that are, arguably should be in the AFL system, with Lynn and the like, any other team they're probably playing. But, so we've got it up against us, but it's certainly something that we're up for the challenge and, excited to get out there and make amends from our game last week against Field.
We've had a few close encounters against the Eagles. Let's hope for another. All the best to you and the side on Saturday at Steel Blue Oval against the Eagles. Andrew, thanks for your time here on Around the Waffle. Go get them on Saturday against West Coast.
Thanks, Pruyn.
Thanks, James.
Andrew Pruyn,
thanks for
champion. Andrew Pruyn, great coach over there at Swan Districts. He's doing a wonderful job, and he's really getting the best out of those young players in particular that have earned their spots in the National Championship coming up on Saturday. Andrew Pruyn joining us here on Around the Waffle. Don't go anywhere, folks. When we do come back, a preview of round 10 of the WAFL Premiership season, a condensed round with only 3 games played, and we'll get some of our tips. Some of them may shock you, so you've been forewarned. Stay where you are. It's all thanks to Front Row Screens, Sullivan Logistics, Grants Car Stereo, and District Promotions. This is Around the Waffle, back after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley. proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years. Selling top-name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems. Stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley. Or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Persic and Jordan McArdle with you, previewing another big weekend of Waffle Football Super Saturday with all the games taking place on Saturday. I'll tell you what, Jordan, all the action on a Saturday, yeah, we'll have its talks by fans, but I tell you what, it is great having it on just the one day because so many possibilities for fans to go to, young and old, to go to their game and support their team.
Absolutely, and 3 very hard games to tip. I think we're going to be different on pretty much every game, I think. So no, it's good. The competition it feels like it's in a great state at the moment. There's no easy wins for any team at the moment. There's been that many upsets and that many really, really close ones in recent weeks especially. So, another big weekend of Waffle and Waffle W footy coming up.
As we've seen in the last couple of weeks, anybody can beat anybody on any given day. Could it be the case in round 10? Let's get right to it. Goodgrocer Park is where we're going to start things off. Live on 7plus from 2:30 on Saturday. East Fremantle and West Perth. Both are off the bye and both on a high after their respective derby wins. So both are going to be up and about for this contest.
You mentioned no easy games. That summed it up really with WA Day. The Sharks and the Falcons both getting up. It was the Sharks' first derby win on WA Day for 10 years, and then obviously it was the Falcons' first win of all of the season. So they'll both come in with plenty of confidence. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It was great to see the Falcons, finally get the monkey off their back, and hopefully it's something that just gets a bit of momentum going in their season. So East Fremantle, they'll be full of confidence as well after knocking off the reigning champs on WA Day. I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of the young midfielders go head to head. Kane Bevan at West Perth, obviously somehow he didn't get drafted in the mid-season draft. It's still baffling that he's not on an AFL list. And on the other side of the park, it's Jack Cleaver. I've been really, really impressed with his season this year, especially. I feel like he's taken his game to another level. We probably debated where that where the lift was going to come from when Milan Murdoch got picked up by West Coast, but I think Jack Cleaver has really taken his game to another level. He's one of the 4 midfielders of the competition right now, and if he keeps putting together performances like he did, he won the Derby medal obviously on WA Day and was probably best on ground the week before as well. If he keeps putting together performances like this, we might not see him in the Waffle much longer. That
is why the matchup between Cleaver and Bevan is going to be the number one, I would think, because they're both great young midfielders. They're on a great run of form. Cleaver in particular, who was among the top votes in our Player of the Year a couple of weeks ago, he really racks them up just for fun, doesn't he? But he backs it up with great efficiency. So too Kane Bevan, who was very stiff not to get picked up in the mid-season draft. So in the weeks since, I feel he's playing with something to prove to the selectors of the AFL teams, and I reckon he can keep on doing that as long as he gets the right support in that West Perth engine room, and he finally got that on WA Day. And with the ruck work of the likes of Livingston, you talk about the experience of Black and Meadows finally getting it together. Ben Johnson is a defender midfielder role as well, providing that delivery inside that forward 50. But my only concern is, again, that forward line as far as West Perth are concerned. Keitel and Knott. You can't keep going to those 2 options all the time if they fail to fire. Question out of that, who's going to step up to that forward 50 and provide those goals? My answer, I reckon, if he is on good form, will be Jack DeMarte.
Yeah, I don't mind that. He's I remember watching him back in his Colts days. He's like a mini version of Keegan Knott, isn't he? He's got those same sort of attributes.
With less hair.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting game. Both teams have done it pretty tough this year. East Fremantle probably from a personnel point of view. I remember they had 23 players on their injury list just a few weeks back. It's
including Ruben Maguire.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so he's obviously got a season ender there, and Jack Avery as well is done for the year. So they're dealing with a lot of long termers. But I did see that the injury list is slowly starting to shrink. So maybe the tide is starting to turn there at East Fremantle.
What about as well from And East Fremantle point of view, the personnel that they've currently got, we talked about West Perth's forward attributes in front of goal. East Fremantle have got a little more of that, and I reckon that's another way that the match could be won for East Fremantle. Their weapons in Robinson and Oscar Smart, who had an amazing third quarter 2 weeks ago, that could be a real difference in the end in a ground they love playing on. They love kicking big bags of goals, and the question out of West Perth, who's going to match up on them in the back line? I reckon it's going to be hard to find an option that can match up on the both of them because West Perth still have a pretty young back line, and Robinson and Smart coming over from interstate add so much experience to the Sharks forward line.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been fantastic. I didn't know much about Liam Robinson before he came over, but obviously a former Sandford player who I think his partner moved over to come to uni at Notre Dame. So
correct.
A nice little bonus there for East Fremantle. And Oscar Smart, what a recruit he's been. I think he's been right up there with the recruits of the year. Probably him and Lockie Tardrew are the main two that come to mind, but yeah, when he is on, Oscar Smart, he's one of my favourite players to watch. He's
no
just
doubt.
an absolute excitement machine. He's got a bit of mongrel about him as well. He doesn't mind getting under the opposition's skin as well. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do against West Perth because he was certainly back to his best on WA Day.
Who does win? This is a tough game.
It really is. I ummed and ahed about this for a little bit, but I think East Fremantle, yeah, they were that little bit more convincing on WA Day. They're coming off 2 wins in a row, which is a fantastic feat for them given their injury list, and they just look chock full of confidence at the moment. So I think East Fremantle will get it done in a tight one.
I'm going the other way. I'm going for a boil over. I reckon with that win that West Perth had is going to really spur on the confidence. I reckon they'll go in there, and I reckon they might take a leaf out of East Fremantle's book for what they did to South in the Derby. Get physical, show the intensity, knock the players around, control the game on your terms. And that's why I reckon West Perth will get up, but only just. I reckon it's going to be a good one. And shout out to Jacob Landsmuir as well. I reckon it won't be fins up, it'll be fins down.
Oh, there we go.
To say. Yeah, that's right. You've been called out, Landsmuir. And if they do lose, the curse has been put on him as well. So the curse has been put on South Australia and also South Fremantle as well, so it might go the trifecta. This should be a ripper game as well. Perth and Claremont. Now, the Demons have not won against the Tigers since the condensed 2020 season, but on Saturday at Revo Fitness Stadium live on 7+, could this be the best chance Perth have got? Because they got back into the winning vein last week in a great final term against Subiaco, and Claremont, dare I say it, they've gone a bit off the boil.
Yeah, they have a little bit. It was surprising to see their result against West Coast last week. Obviously, it was a stacked West Coast side, but Claremont just stumbling a little bit. Every team does it. They were never going to go the entire season without having a loss. But it's probably the two best midfields going head to head. You've got the likes of Corey Byrne, Charlie Constable, Brandon Parfitt, who was back to his best, wasn't he? 37 and 2 last weekend. So it's good to see him. I think his main knock probably this year was his inability to run out games. He's coming off a full season in the NTFL with Nightcliff, and he looked a bit out of gas against Swan Districts the week before, but this is probably up there with his most complete 4-quarter performance. 37 and 2, which was a remarkable game from him, and they're just slowly getting back to their best Perth. They showed glimpses of it against Swan Districts in the first half before sort of fading, but their performance at the weekend was pretty special. So looking forward to seeing the likes of Constable, Parfitt, Byrne on one side, then you've got England, Rogers, Mainwaring on the other. Ollie Eastland as well. He's almost like that extra midfielder.
Absolutely.
The way he racks up the footy. So
he's going to be outnumbered, I feel, in the ruck battle though, because Perth have got two very good ruckmen, and who's going to play that support? Is it going to be Gowdy or is it going to be Talon DeLacy? Because Perth are developing two very good ruckmen in the form of Josh Edwards, who also was a bit unlucky to not get picked up in the mid-season draft, and former Victorian Zach Harding, who had over 20 hit-outs in that win over Subiaco as well. So I reckon they might try and play in tandem in the ruck, rotate the ruck duties to try and take the impact of Eastland out of the contest. And you talked about the midfield battle. That's going to be stacked. Also the forward lines. You've got the likes of Klusky, Clark and Johnson for Perth, and then the aforementioned Gowdy, DeLacy. You've also got Bailey Rogers, who can scoot up the ground and kick a couple of goals as well from midfield. Rogers did take a knock to the ribs in that loss to the Eagles, but fingers crossed for Claremont's point of view that he's okay and will play. And also Jaden Hunter, who of course came back from suspension and kicked 7 goals. He is going to be Claremont's number 1 target.
Yeah, it was great to see him go back to form. I watched him play against East Perth a few weeks ago, and he just looked a bit out of sorts. I think he kicked the 1 goal and then he ended up getting suspended in that game, missing the next one. And great to see him come back and kick 7 goals because I think him and Aaron Clark and Keitel are probably the three for the Bernie Naylor medal race this year. So it might end up being a shootout between Clark and Hunter. Won't that be something pretty special to watch?
Certainly will. Maybe 7 goals for each goal kicker, maybe. We'd love to see a high-scoring shootout with the weather clearing up. It's not very pleasant weather at the moment, but on Saturday it will clear up, so it'll be very conducive to the tall forwards of both sides. Who does win? This is another game that we were umming and ahhing about, so like the East Fremantle West Perth game.
Yeah, I'm going to go Claremont for this one.
I'm going the other way as well. I think Perth will break that 6-year hoodoo. I said on radio early this week, hoodoos are made to be broken. We saw that on WA Day, and we also saw that last week.
And they got close last year as well. I remember that game where I think Clark had 5 up until quarter time.
Because they kicked 9 in the first quarter and still lost the game.
It was remarkable. It was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. So if we got a game half as good as that on Saturday, we'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, you've gone Claremont. I've gone with Perth. And Claremont coach Ash Prescott may reckon I'm crazy, but we'll wait and see. I'm actually heading down to that game with my godson Silas on Saturday as well. So his first game, so that'll be a nice experience for him. Hence why I'm off the commentary box this week. But
you picked a good one to take him to, I reckon.
It's going to be a good one. He's going to have a blast. He's still a West Perth man at heart, but what the hell. It's going to be a good one on Saturday at Rebo Fitness Stadium, and so will this one. Swan Districts and the West Coast Eagles at Steel Blue Oval on 7+ from 2:30. Remember that Anzac Weekend Classic in round 4. West Coast finally broke the duck by a single point. Can we expect another close encounter? Because 3 out of the last 5 have been decided by a goal or less.
I think so. They just match up so well, these two teams. So obviously a lot is determined on the AFL selections and everything. So I have heard Tom Gross has a chance to get recalled to the AFL side, so that'll be obviously a massive loss for their WAFL team. He's coming off 4 goals at the weekend. I think he's averaged 2.3 goals in his last 3 games. So yeah, he'll be a massive loss. He can play obviously inside mid, and he can go up forward and kick goals as well. So he'll be a massive loss, and I'm backing the Swans for this one.
Yeah, no wonder, because, it's at home. They've got 3 wins at home this season, but, my concern is their last quarters. Their only 2 real good last quarters have been wins at home against West Perth in round 3 and a couple of weeks ago against Perth, in which they kicked 7 goals and won the game by 11 points. So if the game is on a knife edge, my concern is how will Swan Districts approach that last quarter, knowing that they're very fragile in the last half an hour of football.
And their starts haven't been that great either,
That's right.
Be honest. They
had
had
round 4 early this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they had 1 goal forward at half-time against Perth, and then I think it was 1 goal 5 against Peel at half-time last week as well. So they do really need to fix up those slow starts, because they're not going to be able to rely on the comebacks like they did against Perth a couple of weeks ago. That's just something that you don't want to be down 39 points at halftime every week.
No doubt about it. It's going to be a real rocky test for Swan Districts. And you talked about West Coast. Tom Gross may get a chance at AFL level. Great opportunity for him. But I'll tell you, I've been very impressed with the progress so far of the 2 new boys in the mid-season draft. You've got Oliver Franco, the South Australian, and of course Marcus Herbert, the former Geelong player. They've got great class when they deliver the ball into attack. They showed great poise in their first couple of games. Franco played a more prolific game than Herbert against Claremont last weekend. And the backline, I reckon, looks very stacked too. Got Burke and Ewing. They did a great job in shutting down Claremont's forward line for 3 quarters, but they did let Hunter out of the bag with that bag of 7 goals. But with Swan District's forward line being a bit up and down, I reckon this will be a good task for Burke and Ewing in the back line to try and do what they did against Claremont.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how the Swans midfield mix goes as well. I think Blake Kelly should spend more time in there. He was fantastic again at the weekend. Obviously, they're missing Leo Steed, so do we see Jackson McLaughlin spend more time there? He had a bit of a role in the second half and showed a bit, so as he did against Perth the week before. So it wouldn't surprise me if McLaughlin gets a little bit more time in the engine room.
I reckon as well, Provest and Petrick in the forward line will add a lot of tall timber to it, especially in the matchup against Ewing and Burke. They've been, a bit up there, a bit down there as well, but I love to see them kick a bag. They really need to get off the leash and be more mobile inside that forward 50, because the Eagles lineup is stacked. You'd expect about 17 or 18 listeners listed AFL players in that side. So you've got to have your forward line at your best.
Absolutely, and obviously Jinby goes out of the AFL side, so they'll potentially lose a defender. So it'd be interesting to see the way they go selection.
Would you think Brock? Would you think Brock would be the more likely option for the AFL side to select?
I think potentially as a like for like, or it wouldn't surprise me even if a Jack Williams gets recalled and then they move someone else down back, like a Jobes Shanahan potentially. I thought that might be a potential option as well.
With that in mind, big moves to be made. Who does win? You alluded to it earlier. You've gone with Swan Districts. I'm going the same way, only because it's at home. This is a venue game.
We finally agree on something.
Yes,
well,
finally
it's only taken us 28 minutes.
It is a venue game, we think, but, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So with not much confidence, I've gone Swan Districts. You've gone the same way as well. Just a reminder, all games live, free and in full on 7+. Should be an exciting Saturday of football. That's not the only bit of action we've got for you. After the break, it's all about the WAFL W. Joining us soon will be Jaide Britton, the Perth midfield coach. Of course, former premiership player at Peel Thunder. Of course, juggling life with the Demons and, of course, the West Coast Eagles in the AFLW competition. We'll also preview the WAFL W round. Round 11 is coming your way on Saturday as well. And later on, Jordan will give his thoughts on some of the standout players in the under-18 boys and girls championship teams that'll take the field on Saturday against the Crow Eaters. More to come after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the WAFL.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick-to-kick at every break. The WAFL is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the WAFL on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the WAFL. Paul Persic and Jordan McArdle with you as we look ahead to another big weekend of football. Super Saturday in the WAFL and the WAFL W. Hey, by the way, we can't do this show without the great folks at Grant's Car Stereo, Sullivan Logistics, Front Row Screen Sport and District Promotion. So great to have them on board in season 2026. WAFL W time, Jordan, because it's a big round of WAFL W football, round 11 of the 2026 season. And for Perth, well, they've really given a couple of other top teams some scares this season in 2026. And it's all not just down to a great bunch of players that not only have taken the competition by storm, but subsequently have earned their spots in AFLW lists, as was the case with Poppy Stockwell, who was picked up by the Hawthorn Football Club. And one of the key players in that coaching staff for the Perth Demons is their midfield coach, who is also juggling life at the Demons as coach, but also with the West Coast Eagles in their playing group. And her name is Jaide Britton. She's good enough to join us here on Around the WAFL. Hello, Jaide.
Hello, Jane. Thanks for having me on today.
Great to have you on the show. What's life like, juggling duties of being the midfield coach at the Perth Football Club in their second season and, playing in the West Coast Eagles AFLW side with their season beginning shortly? What's life like juggling both those duties?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge at times. I mean, our commitments here at West Coast are pretty full on at the moment. We're in the thick of pre-season, so we're in here about 4 days at the club for training duties. But, on top of that with Perth, I guess the thing for me is obviously it's really easy that the two clubs are connected, and I think it just gives me, even though it's still more footy, it gives me something different outside of my life at West Coast, and I'm really enjoying my time over there coaching. So while it is another job, I guess, I'm really enjoying it. It's a bit of a reprieve from thinking about my own footy all the time as well.
Jade, it's Jordan here. Thank you for your time. I've got to ask you about what it's like coaching your sister Holly, and how proud are you of her season so far? Obviously making the state team and playing in that drought-breaking win earlier in the year.
Yeah, she would say none of that's thanks to me, but no, it's been really good coaching Holly. I guess it was kind of the reason I got into coaching last year. Her joining the inaugural Perth side in the WAFL W, and they were a really fresh squad and wanted some people that they already kind of had a connection with there, and that's where I came in. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic. I think we struggled a little bit at the start, just in terms of you don't really want to cop a bunch of feedback from your sister. But no, she's really good. She's really coachable, and she's obviously the captain of the footy club and one of their most experienced players now, being a new team. So she's really easy to work with, and she leans on me and I lean on her a lot for that connection to the playing group. But yeah, she played her 50th a couple of weeks ago, which was really special for me to watch as well and be a part of. It makes me feel really proud that, she's still taking big strides in her footy at WAFL level and playing in like those state games and leading such a young group.
On Subiaco's midfield this weekend, do you rate them up the highest in the comp? I mean, they've got Lisa Steen, Crystal Petrevsky and Paige Shepherd as well. That, in terms of a trio of midfielders, it doesn't really get much better than that, does it?
Yeah, 100%. And they're led by a really good coach as well in Baker, who was our mids coach at West Coast last year as well, and still helping around at the club. But yeah, in terms of, I guess, across the comp, they're definitely one of the most experienced and well-versed midfields we'll come up against. Having played with KP and with and against Lisa and Paige myself, I think it'll be a real challenge for our mid group. But I think on paper, like the likes we've got in there of Holly and Isabella Shannon and others like that, I think it'll be a really good challenge for us. We know how they want to use the ball, so we'll just do the best we can to counteract the way they want to play.
Are you preparing for Dana Hooker as well? I've noticed her name on the team sheets the last couple of weeks. Have you put in a message to Baker or anything like that to find out whether he's got Dana Hooker playing this weekend?
Yeah, I have a good feeling that she will be. I think obviously Baker's in at the club yesterday for our main training and didn't give much away. But having played with Hooks myself and been led by her at West Coast, it'll be really exciting to just watch her play as a friend and old teammate as well. But yeah, adds another layer to the challenge we'll come up against. But credit to Hooks, had another baby last year and, a mum of two and got her own life outside of football as well. So to come back and be playing WAFL again is pretty amazing for her.
It is great to see her back in the field of battle. Dana Hooker, one of the greats here in Western Australia. Finally, before we let you go, of course, you've got a great coaching staff at the Perth Football Club, led by a coach with premiership experience, Steph Wadling. What's it like to work with Steph as a coach? Having that premiership experience come to the land of the Demons. What's it like working with her in the Perth Demons Football Club in their second year?
Yeah, like you mentioned, Steph comes from a wealth of experience, obviously having led East Fremantle to a premiership, and she's been involved in women's footy probably since before I was around, so there's a lot to learn from her. And I think it's a really tough gig to take on with a young developing side only in their second year. And we've found with new WAFL teams coming into the competition, especially in the women's league, it is really hard to catch up to the others who have been around a bit longer. But yeah, she's made lots of really large improvements to our team, and we've started playing a real aggressive, exciting style of footy. And I think just that game style that she's come in with and being able to read the game and read the type of calibre we've got in our team, she's been able to make some really good strides for us in our second year.
Jade, we really appreciate your time here on Around the WAFL. All the best for the rest of the season and, of course, preparing for the Eagles AFLW season and, of course, against Subiaco on Saturday. All the best.
Thanks, Jade.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yes, Jaide Britton from the Perth Football Club joining us there. A very busy WAFL W star and, of course, in the AFLW as well. Juggling life in both duties, in the AFLW and also in the WAFL W as well. Speaking of Perth and Subiaco, that's where we're going to start our preview at Sullivan Logistics Stadium from 12:10 on Saturday. And you can see all the WAFL W action on the WAFL official YouTube channel. Some great coverage they have got there. Perth and Subiaco. Subiaco, they haven't really got out of second gear this year, haven't they? They've been able to remain competitive with a lot of top teams. They won by 12 points in the last encounter against Perth, who are slowly but surely improving. But, of course, the problem is Perth's forward line losing a major cog in that engine room with Poppy Stockwell going to Hawthorn.
Yeah, absolutely. She was coming off 7 goals, I think, in her last game, Poppy Stockwell. So she's going to be a massive loss for the Demons. I think Subi will get it done because of the midfield. They are really, really good in that midfield. Like I was chatting to Jade about earlier, the fact that they've got Steen, Shepherd, and Petrevsky as well. Obviously, the reigning Dara Kerr medalist. Those three are up there with the best midfield trios in the competition, if not the best. You throw Dana Hooker in there as well, who's been playing the last couple of games, and I think that's where the Lions will get to work and get the job done.
It'll be a good test for Perth's young midfielders, especially their ruck in Molly Warren, who's improving bit by bit as well. Isabella Shannon, the runner-up in the Dara Kerr medal last year. I reckon the matchup between her and Petrevsky is going to be massive and will go a long way into determining where the contest goes. And with the conditions clearing up, the ground hopefully will hold up quite nicely. It's held up a lot better than in recent years out at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, and hoping that the game can be a nice even contest between the two teams. Obviously, it's a battle of experience and youth. Perth will be hungry and desperate, but obviously that experience and the additional option in the forward line, Sonny K. Peters, of course, will form as that number one option as well, and a couple of others who, range from, those key tall forwards to the small forwards who will be suited by, the ground that'll still be a little bit slippery because of the rain that we've had so far this week and will again tomorrow on the Friday after this recording. But to me, I feel the experience, I will agree, Subiaco will win this one quite easily because of the experience in that midfield. Dana Hooker, obviously, and Crystal Petrevsky. You mustn't forget the reigning around the WAFL Player of the Year as well. So she's got the runs on the board and she's going to keep that going. Subiaco for the both of us, and at least we're agreeing on a couple more games. Let's just say that much.
We're getting there.
Fantastic stuff. Let's go to the next game at Steel Blue Oval, also at 12:10. So this will just be before the Swans West Coast game later on in the afternoon. Swan Districts taking on East Perth on the official WAFL YouTube channel. And while East Perth, they're still developing, they've got a good young side, a lot of good young talent at their disposal. If you try running into a juggernaut of Swan Districts, then there is 9 times out of 10 that Swans are going to turn up the pressure from go to woe. Despite that lone loss to Claremont, they've just not gone off the boil. They've gone back into top gear and haven't got out of it since.
Yeah, absolutely. How good is Jamie Henry as well? Special mention to her.
Record
49 disposals. Unbelievable performance from her. And I'm still baffled she's not on an AFLW list. She can't do much more at the moment. Great to see her get a train-on invitation with West Coast. So, no doubt she'll make the most of that. She, works tirelessly hard from everyone you hear about her. Crazy couple of weeks on that disposal front as well. We had Juliet Kelly rack up 47 the week before, which was one shy of her own previous record of 48 set last year. And then it was a bit of a hold my beer moment, wasn't it, with Jamie Henry turning it on against Peel last week with 49. So a remarkable effort and a remarkable WAFL W club. Swan Districts at the moment, they are absolutely flying and premiership favourites alongside the likes of Claremont and Subiaco.
I still stand by my statement from last Monday that Jamie Henry will have the Dara Kerr medal around her neck in September, because the way she's been able to rack up disposals and do it consistently this season and be that leading barometer in the Swans midfield is pure evidence enough. But she's also got plenty of additional support in that engine room and the delivery up forward as well, and especially the forward pressure that the forwards create, especially through our sharp who kicked 8 goals last week. She was dynamite. I reckon she's going to be that number one option again and could be on for another big afternoon in front of goal.
Yeah, they got some weapons up there. Yaron as well is obviously quite prominent as well. I think she ended up with 4 goals. So
Emily Maguire as well. She's a pack breaker, isn't she? Uses her strength to great advantage in that forward line in any conditions.
Yeah, spot on. They've got got stars all over the park, don't they? Swan Districts. They've such a consistent outfit all over the park, and no wonder they are winning pretty much every game they start at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. East Perth, obviously we can't be too critical of them because they're a young side, and they've been a lot more competitive in some of the other games. They, got to within 16 points of South Fremantle last Saturday night. So, they can be competitive with those top teams, but it's going to be a long afternoon for them, I feel, even with the players that have been there on a consistent basis, like Lucy Greenwood, Robus, Pugliese Thompson as well. I think it's going to be one of those long afternoons where they just need everything to go right.
I think so, and they're coming up against the Swans outfit that have they won their last game by 80 points as well. I know it was against Peel, who haven't won a game yet this season, but to put in a performance that comprehensive it'll be pretty daunting for East Perth this weekend. And
no wonder we've both gone with Swan Districts in that one. They are expected to continue their dominant season so far. Let's go to Fremantle Oval, also at 12:10 on Saturday. South Fremantle and West Perth. This might be an early final, one would suggest, because even though West Perth, they're in the 4, they're not too far ahead of the likes of Perth and South Fremantle. And South Fremantle, who were boosted by the return of Ash Gomes last Saturday night, they also need a win. So you would sense that this contest would feel like an early final.
On Ash Gomes, shout out to her, 150th game this weekend. So no doubt South Fremantle, that'll be that extra motivation and lift, and obviously great to see her back as well. I think she missed a couple of games recently, so great to see her back in the side, and just adds another dimension to that midfield. And Natasha Entwistle has been absolutely starring at the moment. It was another big performance from her over the weekend, and I think they got a few too many stars all over the park. I reckon they'll get the job done against West Perth, who will obviously be missing a couple of their best young players in Jigalewski and Lexi Strawn as well, who are both out with Stat 18's duties. So I think South Freo will get it done. It'll be interesting to see how Zoe Huggett goes against her former team, though. That's another story. There's plenty of storylines in this particular game.
A lot of intrigue, isn't there? Especially with not just Ash Gomes, of course, playing her 150th game in what has been a decorated WAFL W career, and for that matter, football in general so far. Also, Zoe Huggett against her old side. She's getting her way back into some good form in that forward 50. Even though with the loss of a couple of players that you mentioned for West Perth, they still have got plenty of great presence around the ball. Hannah Power in particular. You've also got Kat Bennett, the former captain. She's finding her way back into some good form after injury, cut her down for the majority of this season and, of course, the entirety of last year. And I reckon their team spirit under Steve Chapman is what's going to get them over the line, because after a couple of good wins and, they had a wake-up call with that shock loss to Perth, they finally were able to fight back and play typical West Perth football, hard-nosed at the contest, no-nonsense approach. And I reckon Steve Chapman really made the players get that message. And I reckon it could work for them at Fremantle Oval. They might have that, spirit to spoil the party, I reckon, for Ash Gomes, and that's why I've gone with West Perth narrowly. I reckon it's going to be a close game with all the storylines behind them and the marquee matchups they've got in the middle. This one's going to be a ripper, I feel.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one.
It's going to be a big one. Saturday afternoon, 12:10 at Fremantle Oval. And then finally, we go over to Lane Group Stadium on Saturday. It's the later afternoon game, 2:10 on the WAFL YouTube channel. Reigning premiers Claremont, they take on Peel Thunder. Well, Peel Thunder were demolished by 80 points. Claremont, well, they haven't been convincing in a way about their margins. They let Subiaco back into the contest last week and only won by 6 points. And while they've been able to get wins on the board, my honest assessment is Claremont are having a tougher year this year than last year, because they dominated most of their opponents last year. They won by big margins. While they're getting off to starts, they're letting their opponents back into the game. They cannot do so against Peel Thunder this weekend.
And they had a few players missing as well recently. Ortlup is out with a knee injury, I think it is. Sargent's out as well, injured. Juliet Kelly missed last game. So
Speaking of Juliet Kelly, their rumour has it that she's recently signed on with the Adelaide Crows.
There is whispers about that, yeah. So, that'd be amazing and very, very well deserved if she is. I have heard those whispers potentially. So, watch this space. Hopefully, maybe that explains her absence.
Yeah, maybe. Watch this space. You heard it here on Around the Waffle. Juliet Kelly, a possible signing with the Adelaide Crows in the AFLW team, but with that aside, Claremont still have got strong depth everywhere, don't they? You know, Jamie Harkin continues to be Jamie Harkin, racking up disposals and delivering great forward line penetration to her multiple options up forward. You've also got some great guns there. And even though those players that you mentioned that are missing from the side, their depth is not affected. And Jack Schwartz, the coach, knows how to get the most out of the young players. And especially against the Peel Thunder side, who I've termed to be, as far as their midfield setup is concerned, one-dimensional, because they've often relied on Chloe Wrigley to get a lot of that, to get a lot of the football out of the centre, but not getting a lot of support. And I reckon that problem is going to arise again.
I think so, yeah. Claremont are just such a well-rounded outfit. They even when they're missing players, others tend to step up. Viney, for example, Sarah Viney stepped up last week. I've been really impressed with Ruby Sargent-Wilson as well.
Yeah, she was magnificent the last couple of weeks.
Can run all day, can't she? So, a couple of names there that really stood out to me. Harkin, she does it every week though, doesn't she? She's an absolute superstar.
Resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, one of the greats, if not the great of the modern day era. So, I think Claremont will get it done quite comfortably.
Yeah, I'll say Claremont as well in that long road trip south to Mandurah against Peel Thunder. That's all part of a Super Saturday football, and I tell you, don't get no bigger than this at the halfway stage of season 2026. We'll take one final break, and when we do come back, Jordan will give his thoughts on the Under-18 Championship teams that, of course, taking the field on the weekend against South Australia at Lathlane on Saturday. Stay where you are on Around the Waffle on YouTube and on your podcast service. More to come after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick-to-kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate, from a simple upgrade to complete custom systems. Stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Persic and Jordan McArdle with you with the big look ahead to the weekend that was in football. Round 10 of the Waffle and Round 11 of the Waffle W we've previewed. But of course, Jordan, not only your role in media and communications, but also been keeping an eye on the Under-18 Championship in particular, with both the boys and the girls campaigns kicking off on Saturday at Mineral Resources Park against South Australia. Let's take a look at those standout plays that are going to be a key in this campaign. First of all, the girls team, because there's a lot of stacked talent from the Waffle W program from all the clubs that are going to be taking to the field this weekend for WA.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously coming off record-breaking numbers, AFLW draft-wise last year as well, including our first number one pick in Olivia Walmaran. So the girls' talent space just goes from strength to strength. So shout out to Trent Cooper for his role. Obviously Ellie Lampkin as well, and Kate Orme, who's there full-time these days as State 18s and State 16s coach, where she was a recent coach for the under 16s All-Australian. So, really exciting time for the women's talent program. They've got some real stars in this group as well. So looking forward to seeing the likes of Cara Jigalewski, West Perth. Yeah, she was an under-18 All-Australian last year as a bottom major. So remarkable to see what she did last year and obviously this year in the seniors and that as well. Lexi Strawn's another one from West Perth who's... she's an exciting midfielder. We got Mia Karlshausen as well, who, I'm really impressed by her. She's from Dalwallinu in regional WA. Plays their WAFL W footy at Perth Demons, and she's a halfback winger with plenty of run and dash. So. Yeah, just to name a few there, but there's a lot of stars and a lot of excitement around this group.
Oh, there certainly is. It's a very talented group, and they could take South Australia to the cleaners on Saturday, especially with the talent and stacked talent that they've got at both ends of the ground. What about the boys' team? Of course, they had a bit of a tough campaign last year. They did have a win against the Victorian team last year, but they've had a bigger and better preparation. They've played more games in the lead-up, and through the expanded program, it does give the WA side a bit of an advantage. But who has stood out, apart from the obvious that you mentioned a little earlier on in the show?
We'll start with the co-captains, Leo Steed and George Gale. So Leo speaks for itself. We chatted with Andrew Pruyn about him earlier in the show, and the way he's adjusted to senior footy this year has been quite remarkable. So I think he's coming in fantastic form. George Gale has had a different campaign to Steed. He's had to play for that many different teams. He's played for Claremont Colts. He's played for Scotch in the PSA competition. He's played for State 18s as well. So, he probably doesn't even know which jumper he's going to wear week to week sometimes. But
a travelling man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's an outstanding kid. He'll play mainly inside mid or inside and outside. So, played a lot of inside mid for Claremont and for Scotch College, and may play a little bit on the wing as well. So he's a kid that's really bulked up over the off-season. He's gone from a skinny kid to he looks a really strong kid. So that's only helped his midfield craft and ability to play that inside midfield role. So he's barely had a game under 30 disposals this year. He's been fantastic, and son of Mark Gale, a former Fremantle and St Kilda player. So comes from really good stock, and his stocks have certainly risen this year. I mentioned Benji Van Rooyen earlier in the show as well.
He led Claremont player.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, half the team are Claremont players. You've got Van Rooyen, you've got Harper Banfield, you've got Noah Braun as well. So certainly some famous names there. But Van Rooyen should lead the ruck. He did last year as a bottom major, which is super impressive given how many injuries WA had last year. He's only going to, learn from that experience and take a lot of confidence out of his performances as a bottom major. He's got potentially the number one pick for next year's draft as his. I don't want to say he's backup, but Axel Walsh will ruck in tandem with Van Rooyen, and this kid looks special. He's about 203 centimetres. He was right up there in the 2K time trials for WA as well. He runs like a midfielder. He almost plays like a midfielder. He had a game.
Makes him so versatile, doesn't he? If
absolutely.
You're that height and you can run like, those midfielders that are about 185, 186 centimetres and are built like units, that goes to show that he's a player of a multifaceted skill level.
Absolutely, yeah. It's no wonder that Tasmania have shown a bit of interest in him. So, it wouldn't surprise me if this is his last carnival WA and he gets pre-listed by Tasmania the way he's going. So, he plays his footy at East Perth and, plays PSA as well. He actually had I think it was 44 disposals and 44 hitouts, or it was 40 plus in both. It was a crazy stat line in the PSA a few weeks ago. So, he's one of those guys who can play a variety of positions as well. With the amount of tools that WA have, he'll probably spend a bit of time as a key forward. He even got trialled on a wing in a recent trial game. So, he's one of those guys who can sort of slot in anywhere and even be that extra midfielder if they need it. Lucas Robinson's another obvious name. He's been flying for South Freo seniors this year. Another kid at South Freo is Hudson Graham. So he's the son of Jamie Graham.
That's right.
So he's a tall kid. and he's just started to fill out as well. So he'll mainly play key defence, but I did see him play a trial game up forward and kick a couple of goals recently as well. So, yeah, he's one that can go at both ends of the ground. I like the look of Harvey Sporting Guy as well. He's
West Perth as well,
he's a
playing
West
a bit of
Perth
ruck.
kid. Yeah. So, he'll likely just play as a key forward, I'd say. But, he's a regular amongst the goals, and obviously got a big job to do with his fellow West Perth player, Kobe Lacroix, ruled out for the Carnival. So, yeah, Kobe's got an ACL strain. So, it looks like his season is in doubt, unfortunately. So, yeah, thoughts go out to him, and hopefully he's done enough to still get drafted at the end of the year. But you obviously hate to see it when kids get injured with the Carnival coming up.
That's right. Yeah, it's a real heartbreaker for Kobe Lacroix, but fingers crossed that he still can get picked up. Jordan, you summed it up magnificently, mate. A job very well done. Thanks so much for coming in today to look ahead to all the action and all the best. You're doing the Subiaco Swans game later down the track, I believe, as well. So that should be a great game as well. And looking forward to getting some great reports out from you as well about the Under-18 Championship and also this weekend's WAFL action. So thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you, mate, and thank you for your support of the WAFL as always.
And my voice will have a nice earned break this weekend, no doubt about that. But Jordan, he'll be in full voice in the next couple of weeks. Really looking forward to his calls down the track. Thanks so much for your company here on Around the WAFL. It's all thanks to the fine folks at Sullivan Logistics, Grants Car Stereo, District Promotions and Front Row Screen Sport. And you can check out all our content on Facebook and Instagram. And by the way, if you miss out on the broadcasts as they're uploaded, you can watch them anytime on YouTube and listen to them anytime on your go-to podcast service. Have a great weekend at the footy and hope your team wins on the weekend. We'll see you on Monday.